Welcome to The Third Side with your host, John and Stacey Edwards from thirdsideparanormal.com. Hello and welcome to The Third Side. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are pretty, I'm going to use the word, uber excited about today's episode.
Uber excited.
Today, folks, we have John Tenney, the, realm of the weird, the
Weird Lectures.
weirdlectures.com.
And of course, Ghoststalkers.
I was going to get to the Ghoststalkers, the man, the myth, the legend.
Wow, that's some hype.
All right, he's some hype. But I'm telling you, if anybody can live up to it. If you haven't watched Ghoststalkers, and we've talked about this on the show before, you are missing the best new paranormal show out there, because John Tenney he's the paranormal researcher for the clever people. And I know every one of you, even you, Brazil, I know all of you are the clever people.
Well, they have to be if they watch our show.
Yeah, of course.
Gotta be clever.
Of course. I mean,
either that or they just don't get anything that we say.
Probably not. Maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe.
That could possibly be a good thing. I mean, so it's going to be that kind of day. And we're really excited about this. All joking aside, 2010, we got to meet Tenney during, we were selling our documentary at Scarefest. And everybody the whole weekend, it's like, Tenney, you're going to have to go. Are you going to watch John Tenney? And
I'm pretty sure we were like, who's John Tenney?
Yeah. I mean, even though he had done so much by that point, it's kind of shame on me that I didn't know.
Right.
But yeah, it's he was already well established in the field, and I go and meet this guy and listening to this, and it was always a person I said, because Amy Bruni was like sitting right beside us. I was like, well, this must be the person that the ghost hunters, go and listen to.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it was sometimes you hear people and they strike a chord with you. Everything this guy said struck those chords with me, and a lot of it was stuff that I had already learned the hard way. This is how you do an investigation. This is how do you conduct yourself. This is, it's notebooks and pens and a whole lot of research and a whole lot of thinking and a whole lot of going back to a location.
And being open-minded.
And, open-minded and not so much come at me, bro.
Right.
Hey, what's up? Hey, I just got back from Bass Pro. Not so much that. And, it really changed. I don't want to say completely changed my paradigm on it, because that's where I was going with it. But I really knew this guy knew his stuff.
Right.
And it was very cool. And I, went out and you should do this too. Went out and found his podcast, and even the old archived ones. You need to go listen to these things. Go see a lecture.
Well, anytime you have the opportunity to talk to somebody or listen to somebody that's going to change your perspective,
right, and
on something, you should probably do that.
Every lecture I've done since that day, I have tried making sure that I touch somebody in that crowd. And then also...
Not literally.
You completely took that joke.
I'm sorry.
You completely took that joke. I was going to say, and also teach them something.
Sorry.
But
I didn't mean
come
to
see one of our
joke.
lectures.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ruin it.
Come see one of our lectures. We've done a few of them. Unfortunately, though, we've done them all at school, so I shouldn't really say that.
Now you're just creepy.
Yeah, I'm creepy, dude. I'm creepy. John Tenney's weird. I'm Uncle Creepy. It's going to be a great show, and we are, it's our pleasure, and we're very excited to have him on there. But for the rest of you, at 3SidePara, that's the number 3 on Twitter, and start using that, folks. Facebook.com/ThirdSide. I want to see some licky lackies. I want to see more likes come up. I want to see it go, past whatever number is at now. I haven't looked at it lately. Yeah, but, it takes just a split second. And 7 out of 10 doctors agree that liking our Facebook page will, make sure you live longer, especially if I know you. And thirdsideparanormal.com. That's the web address. Stacey works her butt off on making sure that there's content on the website and, mediocre content.
Something.
At least.
Yeah.
We try to make sure that there's something on there.
Yes.
No, we put a lot of work into it. We put a lot of work into the everything we share, Every time we do Facebook posts, we try to make sure it's not a World News Daily report.
Oh gosh,
something,
a fake news story.
But I watch YouTube videos nonstop. We read blogs nonstop, trying to find the best to bring you guys the weirdest, the creepiest news that's out there and the timeliest. And with that said, I do believe that it may be time for some paranormal news.
It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact.
Okay, so ready for some news?
I am ready.
I didn't bring a lot of stories since we have such a great guest today. We're just going to hit a couple of things real quick.
All right.
All right, so let's start with an update to a story we did on one of the previous shows, kind of a conspiracy theory
I'm always scared when you're saying update because I just know you're going to be like, clown.
No, I promise it's not clowns, and it's not people waking up from the dead, and it's not, any of those weird things.
All right.
This was the Georgia Guidestones story. Do you remember this one that we did?
Yeah.
Where the
yes, I remember Georgia
mysterious
Guidestones.
block showed up.
Of course I remember the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes.
I mean, that's just...
So we did the story where this mysterious block showed up, and it just showed the numbers 20 and 14, and people absolutely flipped out.
Right.
Because, anything associated with the Georgia Guidestones anyway is very...
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, yeah, it's very mysterious, benefactor, created, depopulation.
So then we did an update to that story where they took the block out, where the man went and took it out, and it showed all the weird numbers. It had 16, 8, 20, 14, and then on the top it had MM, and on the bottom it had JAM. Everybody went nuts. They were trying to speculate. It didn't say...
Every time you hear that, all I hear in my head is pump up the jam. Pump it up.
Just...
Sorry.
They took the block out, they broke it up, but people went crazy, and you can see, if you go online, you could see where all these people were trying to decipher the numbers and make sense out of it and all this stuff. So recently, there's been an update. A video has been uploaded to YouTube with the guy that says that he is the one that put the block there, and he explains what it stands for. So let me start by going back and explaining how this whole thing happened to begin with. Okay. Now, before this block showed up, there was like a notch in that one thing, and that was kind of unexplained. I didn't really know why that was there, but it said in this article that back in 2009, a 6 by 6 by 6 cube of granite was actually stolen from one of the stones. So it was actually a whole stone when it was first put in.
Right.
And somebody stole this cube. So in 2013, a man named William Jeremy Ellis was apprehended in the middle of the night when he was trying to put that piece back because he is the one that had stolen it. Mm-hmm. And he said that he removed it for personal, esoteric, and numerological reasons.
Really?
So he was a numerologist.
Of course he was.
Of course, and then obviously probably a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff.
Right.
And he decided to return it because he didn't want the weight anymore of actually having it.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't explain what his personal reasons were, but it just says that was what happened. So the cube that was taken out that he was trying to replace, they still have that. The company that maintains the monument, they still have that. I don't guess they've decided what to do with it. So there's been this notch since 2009.
The company that maintains the monument.
Yes, they have that
happen
original.
To have any word from them?
No,
any
not
names?
yet. No, it's Elberton Granite.
Right.
And they spoke to somebody from there.
Sure.
So anyway, so since 2009, there's been the notch, right?
Right.
So then this mysterious cube that we talked about
I still
shows
think
up.
it's Ted Turner. I think
Yeah.
he's part of the Illuminati. And anyway.
Probably a good guess. Anyway, so then this mysterious cube shows up. Then they take it down. It has all the numbers.
Right.
So on August 16th, a man named Michael Massinelli, who is also a numerologist and a conspiracy theorist.
If your name's Michael Massinelli, excuse me, you're probably going to be some sort of code breaker or numerologist. Your name's got like a ring to it.
Well,
Michael Massinelli.
he is claiming to be the one responsible for the for the actual mysterious
I got
stone.
6 block rows of 111, and I'm making a map. The church says it's 666. Sorry, King Arthur.
Yeah, okay. Off on a tangent.
Sorry.
Anyway, so he says that he's the one responsible for putting this stone in there and that he did it to commemorate his marriage to his wife.
Oh, bullcrap.
So his name's Michael Massinelli, M.M. His wife's name is Jennifer Ann Massinelli, J.A.M., and they were married on August 16th, 2014, which is the 8/16/2014. And that's what he says. And he's also happens to be a friend with William Ellis, the guy who stole the original piece.
Right.
And they met at the Guidestones, and they're both numerologists, both conspiracy theorists. They were friends, and so he's decided to do this. And in the video, he actually shows his marriage certificate, and he shows the cube intact.
Because you couldn't fake those in the U.S. government.
No, I know. He shows a cube that's intact, that looks exactly like the one that was put in there. His wife is there, saying, yes, this is right, whatever.
I appreciate the update.
All of that. Wait, I'm not done. So, also, the video that we shared of the man taking it down and breaking it, his name is Mark Clamp. He's from Clamp Sandblasting, and they're the ones that kind of clean off the graffiti when it gets graffitied, and his dad actually helped carve the original, the monument. But so this video that he has, it's like an hour long. I did not watch the whole thing. I watched like the first few minutes where he was saying, explaining that he's the one that did it, and then I kind of stopped watching.
All right, let me just stop you.
Okay.
Like that whole 10 minutes of explanation could have just been like, here's what they lied to us and said it was. Okay? I'm just going to have to say it. The Georgia Guidestones should not be standing just in and among itself for what in the hell it says. Okay? If you don't know what it says, I'm sorry, go look it up. If you watch the show, you more than likely understand that the depopulation, that it thinks that we need to get to this certain point in order for the world to survive. Okay?
Right.
And it's the rules for imagine tomorrow somebody drops a bomb or somebody puts a pandemic out there. The Georgia Guidestones are there because some snotty, 1%er that goes, out to Bachelor's Grove, in the summer and has sex with his buddy, thinks that that's what the world needs.
Right.
And that solves all the problems.
Right.
Because, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've played one on TV. I'm sorry, but this is a terrible place. So anything they say comes out of there, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Because this is not like most of your other stuff. The Illuminati, I'm not going to do one of those crazy things that put the hat on, the tinfoil hat and all this stuff. I'm just saying that it slaps you in the face as a human,
Right. Well, this story doesn't actually have anything to do with the actual Georgia Guidestones. This just has to do with the little block that showed up and why
the people that clean it off and
Well, yeah, that was just backstory to who took it down and stuff. This is just him saying that he's the one that put that stone up there, and as a conspiracy theorist, I guess he thought that was a clever. I don't know. If he really did it, if he's the one that really did the stone and it doesn't actually mean something else. Because, like I said, after this happened.
Well, I'm sure he's the one that did it, MK Ultra.
After this happened, all these people,
He was probably a lone person by himself that did it.
All these other numerologists came, showed how all these numbers on the block meant something.
Right.
But if he's a numerologist too, of course he got married on a day that meant something.
Right. And to be fair, you could put a group of numbers out there and we could figure out something for it.
I'm sure. Well,
we could pull the Jeff Goldblum.
I would like to point out that it doesn't seem likely that he did it because his name is just Michael. Massinelli. He doesn't have 3 names.
Doesn't have the 3
where
names.
the guy that originally stole the block has 3 names.
Right.
William Jeremy Ellis. He's obviously guilty.
Right.
This guy does not have the 3
I got
names.
you.
I don't think he's guilty.
I'm sorry. I just don't like anything that's hate-filled or just,
Right.
blatantly in your face. This is what we want to have happen.
Right. I understand. Okay, well, shall we go on
Sure.
to a different story then?
All right.
Maybe one that's not so hate-filled and whatever
Okay.
you just said?
All right.
Okay, so let's talk about a story from the Philippines.
The Philippines.
The Philippines.
That's much better.
Yes. This is a story about how residents in this city, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Cebu City. I'm not sure if that's
This
correct.
is the clever episode.
I know, but I'm not good with pronunciations. I think we've established that.
Okay.
Anyway, they claim that 35 of their students at their public school were possessed by evil spirits. Now, we've heard these stories before.
Recently.
Yes, recently. And this is a different one. I'm not sure. The other stories, have they been from the Philippines or have they been from somewhere else?
I think it's other places, honestly.
Yeah. Well, supposedly, 35 students apparently collapsed and started convulsing while they were in school. And the teachers completely freaked out.
We told them not to eat the school pizza.
And they sought the help of local officials who actually called in priests to do an exorcism because they said that they were possessed.
That's close to what happened.
Yeah, well, here,
Mass.
like a mass hysteria event.
Right.
Well, here's the thing that's also like one of the other stories we did. They seem to think that the reason that this happened was because they were going to build a building next to the school. And in order to build this building, they were going to have to cut down 2 mango trees.
Oh, God.
Yes.
You mean the giant,
The big, giant,
humongous,
yeah, you can't build a house near mango trees, I don't think.
earth-shattering mango trees.
Because they're huge, right?
Because if you don't know, folks, the mango tree is not just an innocent little tree. It is the superpower island warrior of trees.
Of trees, yes. Well, and this is like that other story that we did about this, where there was something to do with a tree and a spirit
it's also
in a tree.
illegal to pee in an elevator in the Philippines.
Is that in the Philippines?
I believe it's in the Philippines.
Oh.
But go ahead.
Anyway, so now here's the question.
You got to know where that stuff's legal.
Mass hysteria, probably most
Possibly.
likely, or trees, spirits, elementals.
You hit the nail on the head.
I mean,
it's obviously for anybody who's done this kind of stuff for any length of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, you even know the name of them.
Well, I know that there are tree spirits in Greek mythology. They're called dryads.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, an elemental of any sort.
Right.
Tree spirits, nature spirits. Mm-hmm. That's the simplest way to describe it, to say it. And anytime you're going to, degrade this by just cutting it down, I mean, such a, magnificent, regal tree as it is, with all the power that's given with all those children.
Right.
I mean, if you were a nature spirit, how much would you love to look over the children?
True.
And, not that I'm a proponent of such things. I'm just saying, yeah, I believe in them. I'm just saying that, we've gotten so far out of touch, and I've touched on this many times, in this country that we're filmed in. We've gotten so far out of touch with everything that this world believed for thousands, 6,000, 10,000 years. All of a sudden we said, oh, that's crazy. Let's build a concrete jungle.
Right.
And
get away from
from all this. Right. And, nature spirits, that was just a way of life. And you respected things. You respected pathways.
Right.
For the fairy, for the little people. So, yeah, that's totally could be the case.
What happened in this particular case is they brought in priests who did exorcisms where some of the students seemed to respond to it, some of them didn't. It made some of them worse, supposedly. And then they brought people in to teach the teachers how to deal with mass hysteria. So they're completely just automatically writing it off as a mass hysteria event.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's not. It could be, but I'm leaning more on the side of they're trying to cut down a really old ancient tree to build a building.
Exactly. I mean,
that's
they still
taboo.
say that one of the greatest UFO sightings of all time was mass hysteria with a bunch of children in Australia. So I mean, it's
true.
They're bastards. Remember?
Yeah. Who are these they we speak of?
Who are they? Anyway? They're bastards.
I thought this was cool, and I thought it was funny that they also say that the kids were possessed by evil spirits because, you and I personally don't really classify good, evil like that. You know, it's more just, I mean, if this spirit lives in this tree and it's going to be angry, that doesn't make it evil. It just makes it
in my opinion,
angry.
In my opinion, most of those encounters are kind of like an acid trip. Not that I know anything about that. It's kind of how you, it's kind of, you know, dependent on how you are going into the event.
Right.
If you go into a spiritual encounter like that with guns blazing, come at me, bro, look at my hair flip, watch my biceps, you're going to get smacked in the booty.
No idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. If you come into it and you're just, you know, you're like, hey, how you doing? It's really nice to meet you. I really respect your space here and where you're sitting in. Can I ask you a couple of questions? I mean, how are you going to react?
Well, exactly.
So,
or if somebody came in and were like, oh, you live here? I don't care. I'm going to cut this down to build something else. I mean,
stupid
you'd be
tree.
Like, no.
How big is a mango tree anyway?
So. Mango trees are huge. I found that out recently.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, interesting story. I like how.
I was making a joke.
I'm sorry.
Right, on the pre-show. Sometimes we may or may not look at some stories. And yeah, we didn't know how big a mango tree was.
We had no idea.
No.
We were like, how big is a mango tree? Can't they just build beside it? It's a tree.
We're talking about respecting the tree spirit, and we had no idea. We thought it was maybe like a little tree, like
an apple tree.
Like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, you know? It's got,
you're like, can't they just move the house over a few feet?
Yeah,
I don't understand the problem.
On it.
One mango. There's like one mango.
I'm sorry, Philippines. I'm sorry, and I will not pee in your elevators either.
Anyway, I like how when you get news stories, how the news takes the angle on it. Like, we see this story totally different than they've reported it. You know, we're like, we're for the tree. We're like,
exactly, go tree.
You know, so I don't know. I thought that was funny. Okay, so I won't keep us much longer since we're going to get to our really good guest, but I do want to mention one more thing. Of course, before we do our other segment, we're going to do the TV segment too. But this is about Nick Groff, who's actually the producer of
Ghoststalkers.
Of Ghoststalkers, yes. But he actually did make an announcement. And we had a feeling this was coming. You know, we speculated.
Feeling.
Yeah. That he is not going to be part of Ghost Adventures anymore, and that he's going on to do his own thing, which, you know, good for him.
Pretty good own thing.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
awesome.
Yeah. And if you look him up, he is pushing it right now, and I'll put links up for it, but he has started a new, I guess, company, website, business, whatever, and it's nickgrofftour.com. where you can go and you can actually book events where you go investigate with him at locations that he's been at, or you can suggest locations, I think, or any of those things.
Right.
So it seems like it's going to be a big hit. The first day that he announced this, I went to the website, the nickgrofftour.com. The whole thing had completely crashed. I guess everybody else.
I want to investigate the White House with you, Nick.
Yeah, can you get us in the White House?
The White House.
That'd be cool.
That's my dream location.
But they have fixed the website. You can go there now. The first day, so many people went that it just
Can you imagine
crashed.
doing the White House?
No, I would love to investigate the White House.
Why not? I mean, why don't they do this? Oh, you know what? Barack Obama wants to improve. And right now, he doesn't give a fly-in.
I was just going to say, if you want to get into the White House to investigate, now would be the time.
I think I'm going to call him. Like, we need to start a Twitter campaign.
Hey, Obama, can we investigate the White House? No. Secret Service people can stay. It's fine, just as long as they're quiet.
Exactly.
I think they are quiet, aren't they?
Hunt White House. Oh, no, we better not do a Twitter of that. Jesus Christ. Don't do Twitter of Hunt White House and attach our name to it.
Maybe we shouldn't do investigate the White House either.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be really clear.
Wow.
Ghosts of the White House? White House ghosts.
Yeah.
Find the White House ghost. Something, I don't know.
And let's not do anything with a sheet.
Yeah.
And put Obama. I mean, Jesus. we got to be really careful.
Maybe we should put some more thought into this.
Maybe we're going to put thought into this.
Yes.
Tell you what, if you have any ideas on how we're going to do a paranormal
get them to let us investigate the White House
at the White House, let us know at John and Stacey Edwards at gmail.com. And I'm sorry if we've offended anybody.
Yes.
Okay, Nick Groff. Yeah, that's honestly, I think it's a good move.
I think it is. I think it was time.
I think that Ghost Adventures will continue on. And
it will.
I think it will be, bigger and better than ever. I mean, more than likely. I mean, it's one of those things. But I think that for Nick, Nick was always that one that kind of, like, he was the one you sided with. Like, if we were watching it,
right.
he was always like, well, Nick's the me. You know, Nick's the researcher, the calm one, the
calm one. That's what it is. And you could tell
the analytical one.
If you watch the show from the beginning all the way into now, you can tell that the styles were getting a little different. Like his is a little different than, which is not bad.
No,
I mean, that's a good thing. But, you know, and I know that he's had personal issues with some of the places that they investigate, some of the more, you know.
Right. You know what?
I don't want to say demonic
the best thing we
side,
can do is let
yeah.
Nick tell it himself when he decides to.
True.
You know, on why, and not do like all these stories on the internet where they're just speculating.
Yeah, about why.
We've done the same thing. We've speculated as to why. We all know that Zach has the big Demon House documentary coming out.
Yeah, I know people are trying to link that.
They're trying to link that because he said that somebody quit.
Yeah, but
during
you
the
don't
filming.
know.
You don't know.
No, you don't know if
and
that's the truth.
it could just be like we do with grips. You know, we just fire them for the fun of it. I mean, every week the Abbott Studios hires new people and they bring us coffee and we fire 2 or 3 of them every week.
My opinion is...
Thank God for colleges that need people to get TV time behind cameras.
I know. My opinion is that this is not something that was spur of the moment, that it was something that had been building. So, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he'll maybe explain it
I think
a little more.
I think that, first off, that's a great thing he's doing for to be interactive with the fans.
Yes.
Something also that John Tenney and Chad and David Roundtree, everybody on that show, do, you know, they also do. And it's very cool of Nick to do that. And I've noticed that he's been, like, it's hard to answer 20,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
But the dude's trying.
He's trying.
So I think it's a really cool deal, and I'm really excited. If Ghoststalkers is any indication of what will be,
right,
from him just doing this,
yeah,
two paranormal thumbs way up.
Well, on that note, little segue, we do have some other TV shows that we want to kind of talk about.
So are you saying that it's a segment?
It's a new segment, yes.
What would that be? Paranormal TV? All right. Well, as you know, we don't shy away from anything television related, and we really enjoy doing the TV time stuff because most your, pretentious hosts, they act like they've never seen a paranormal television show because everything paranormal began and ended with them.
Yes, we don't know any hosts like that.
That didn't happen.
No.
That didn't happen. So what we do is we respect everybody in the community and try to watch every bit of it.
And, we actually don't watch every single, there's so many paranormal shows out there.
We don't watch every bit of it. I said we try, because that gets us off the hook.
Yeah.
When somebody wants us to watch, like, West Philadelphia Paranormal.
Well, this segment's more for stuff that's on big networks. Big-ish networks.
Unless it's like Fresh Prince Paranormal. That would be kind of cool.
Okay,
Sorry,
anyway, you're still on the West Philadelphia thing?
Born and raised.
Let's talk about a couple of shows that we've been watching recently that we really like, that everybody should watch. The first one is the Oak Island show.
Yes.
The Curse of Oak Island.
Which at first, there's so many of these shows come around. Yeah, you're kind of like, God, maybe not.
I don't know
if Oak Island was one of those things, if you're into ufology, if you're into cool mysteries and
conspiracies, any of that stuff.
Everybody in that field knew about Oak Island.
Right.
And I remember showing you YouTube videos years back.
Yeah.
And going, we have to go here, and then remembering that we didn't have money for drills.
Exactly.
So it would be looking at this hole and being like, damn.
I don't know if this is technically strictly a paranormal show, but they do touch on everything. Paranormal, conspiracy theory, history, treasure hunting. It's awesome.
You have to bring the whole 33rd degrees in there.
And so if you've never seen the show, what it is, if you've never heard of Oak Island, who's not heard of Oak Island? Come on.
That guy right over there.
Yeah.
Like on his bed watching this.
It's an island where there's supposedly a treasure. They don't even know what, just an amazing treasure hidden there.
Right.
And
not a Geraldo Rivera treasure.
People have been digging there for how long?
Wouldn't you love to see Geraldo do it? Like to give that one last go after
I wouldn't want him involved.
After all that crap happened. Did you watch that live when you were a kid?
Yeah, where they opened something and he was
Al Capone's vaults.
Is that what it was? And then there was nothing. He was like, oh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Anyway.
It put him on daytime TV. Like 2020 was just like.
Was that before or after he yelled at everybody because 9/11 wasn't an inside job and then had to come back and apologize because
9/11 was an inside job? Wow, we're totally getting profiled.
Anyway.
I'm not going to tell you what kind of phone it is, but I guarantee you who's listening to it. My camera's probably on right now.
That's okay.
It's you can watch us one of two ways, either through the United States government or if you work for the NSA, you're already watching.
At least put it so they can't see up our noses.
Yeah, exactly.
Lay it over here. Anyway, so People have been digging there for how many years? Hundreds of years at Oak Island.
Oh, at Oak Island.
That's what we're talking
All
about.
right, sorry. Trying to say, what the hell are you talking about? That only happened once in college.
And they found, like, as they started digging, they found the wooden planks.
Yes.
Every 10 feet, they found wooden planks.
Right.
Like, built in. And then when they got down to 90 feet, there was actually a stone
That
there.
stone that pisses
with
you off.
Weird
It says,
carving.
Dim Darby money.
Yeah, somebody translated to say 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried.
Yeah.
But as soon as they took the stone out, the whole thing filled up with seawater from some booby trap, and you can't get in there.
And who's going to, like, if you're going to take the time to do a code,
Yeah.
just saying, are you going to use, like, the pirate language?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
It basically had the R at the end of it. Like,
Well-
what do we get to use for, to make this say R?
Yeah.
You know?
I've always questioned that whole translation, but on the latest episode, they kind of talked about that.
Yeah, it was a double
So,
translation.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a very cool show.
It's a very cool show.
Definitely should watch it.
And we might actually try to bring one of the Laguinas.
Lagina.
Lagina.
It's Lagina, yeah.
Anyway, we might try to bring one of those guys on the show to talk about it. It tickles your fancy if you're into exploration or if you're into ancient aliens theory, if you're into anything.
Any of that stuff. And
Yeah, it's like the whole gambit.
And they actually welcome people with their own theories, people that have studied it. They come in, they tell them their theory, they take it into consideration.
You know what?
What?
We should make up a theory and go up there.
Just to go up on the
Yeah,
island?
to be like that.
Just to be in there? Like, we don't have to be on TV,
we can wear
but we
the
just
Bass
want to be
Pro
on the
shirts,
island.
and we can be like, I got a theory for you.
I don't think we should wear the Bass Pro.
We're buying some shotguns and
Shut up. Anyway, it's a good show on the History Channel. Stop shaking your pegs.
sorry.
Okay, anyway. So the other show is one that you actually found, and we started watching because it's a really good show. It's The Search for the Lost Giants.
Search for the Lost Giants, which I have a theory, folks. And my theory is there is a collective consciousness. And in this collective consciousness in the universe, there is actually, they've been called different things, but some call them muses. I believe that when it's time for an idea to happen, that it's going to happen. It's going to find that right person or a number of people, so one of those people actually take it and do something with it.
Right.
And this is, I'm going somewhere with this. Stay with me. So that's just one of my many in my book of theories, which you'll be able to find, via Abbott Studios in 2015. The book, yeah, it's like we need to put the future link for the book up. Anyway, I got really into the whole giant thing.
Right.
And for no reason. I mean, I'm always studying, always looking for stuff, really big into ufology more than I put on. But I was really got into the giant thing so much so that I went to religious people and was asking them, okay, what is your take on giants?
Right.
And, give me everything you can. And actually books and that I had ordered and everything that from Nephilim on down so I could find out about all the giant stuff. It was so weird that it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then the show starts.
And then
where
the
the
show
guys
starts like a year later.
are searching for the
It's so
giants.
funny, but it's actually, I didn't think it would be any good.
Right.
Show's actually pretty good.
It is, and I really like the brothers. The brothers that are on there are actually searching. You can tell that they're just regular guys that really have a passion for this, and they do. I mean,
they remind me of our lovable caretaker. That's what our owner operator of Abbott Studios. They remind me of him.
Right.
And because that's what I liked about them.
Right.
They have a passion, and they had the means to do something about it.
Right.
And
they did it.
I respect that so much. It's just like somebody had a idea. Hey, we'll get to that later.
Well, one thing
episode.
I like about the show is that they do find very interesting things.
Yeah, they really do.
And
tell them about the library. What they said about libraries, because this is for every one of you to learn. They said that it was a.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting you.
They said it was a treasure trove, I think was how they said it, of information at your local libraries. And, support your local libraries. And I'm going to go to a public service announcement now. This is stuff that's not going to be on the internet. They haven't went into this microfiche and, put it up on the internet. There is local newspapers. There used to be something called reporters. And I know for my younger viewers out there that you're not going to really get this, but these reporters did investigations in town
to try and find out the truth.
the truth. And
Yes.
they would actually step on people's toes that were hurting the little people, or if there was a UFO in the sky or somebody's cow was haunted, anything like that, they would go and try to find out and bring the truth to you. And
I want to
this
see someone's haunted cow.
this went into something called a newspaper. And the newspaper was not just facsimile reprints of, whatever they got on the internet.
right.
It actually mattered. And this is back when they really did things called elections too.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Like, I would love to go in a
Interesting
time
concepts
machine.
at the time.
Yeah, so weird. It was so cutting edge that I think they just said, we better not do that. But libraries is the only place you can find this stuff. So you don't know, maybe in your local library in Angola, maybe they have,
Articles or things that are interesting.
or interesting things. So especially if you're a paranormal investigator, okay? Or if you're sleeping with one. You need to go, when you're on an investigation, go to your local bloody library.
And look
Talk
up
to
stuff.
your town historians.
Oh, yes.
Talk to
Yes.
the older people in town. Find people that live at the address or live across the street. Do research. And this is what they kind of go into that. And they actually found pictures of giants that the Smithsonian hadn't stole yet. And it was pretty
They've
cool.
actually found some really cool stuff, and I think it's funny because everywhere they're looking for the skeletons that
Yes.
have been reported, that they have had pictures of.
Yes.
And it's funny because every time they run into it's been gone, or the Smithsonian has it or had it but don't claim it.
Right, they were performing
or-
further.
Yeah, but then they claim not
research.
to have ever had any. It's
Yeah.
very strange. It's really interesting. I'm curious to see, and I love how they work on something one week and then maybe you'll see it again in a later episode.
Yeah, and you learn stuff. You learn stuff.
they've had to go back.
It's very neat. It's very
Yeah.
neat. Just go find it. I'm sure there'll be a marathon. So yeah.
Good show. Good show.
Good show.
So
Good show.
Yeah. Any other shows we need to talk about?
Hello, Bobby. Good show. No,
I think you made the dog bark on that one.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any other shows we need to really talk about because there's only one show that matters today,
Yes.
and that is Ghoststalkers.
Yes,
and that
and-
is the fact that campaign Save Ghoststalkers is in full effect because
Ooh, hashtag save Ghoststalkers.
yeah, not that
really
it's in
saving
trouble.
it, yeah.
It's not in trouble.
Maybe that's a bad one.
Maybe just whatever hashtags Ghoststalkers already has.
Just
but
hashtag Ghoststalkers.
I wish we could have hashtag Ghoststalkers kick ass. But
Yes. Well, we'll talk about how you can tell Destination America.
we'll
that
talk how you can do your part.
That you still want another
Because
season.
if you're not an athlete, you can be an athletic supporter. And today, like I talked about earlier, our guest, I'm really excited about this. Ever since that wonderful day in 2010 when we sat in the Scarefest, and I remember hearing this man that said things that I had only thought before, that I had never, heard another human say, and it was honestly changed me quite a bit.
It has.
It really did. It changed like a
agree.
lot of stuff about the come at me bro style.
Yes, I'm glad we don't have that anymore.
No, we don't. We don't. John Tenney, everybody who watches this show or listens to this show, you've heard us talk about Ghoststalkers. You've seen Stacey incessantly share everything she can about it because we really dig the show. And I will not shy away from the fact that I'm a Tenney fan. John's been actively involved in the field of paranormal research for over 2 decades. He's lectured numerous schools, universities, organizations, clubs. John's columns and articles have been printed worldwide. He's author of over a dozen books and been a consultant on a gazillion TV shows. He is currently the co-host of Ghoststalkers, which airs on Destination America channel. And if you haven't seen it, shame, we all know your name. WeirdLectures.com is the best place to go and get some awesome blogs. It's not just a little quirk here and there. It's actually entertaining.
It is detailed information.
Yeah, and
I'll just say that.
on Twitter, it's at John E.L. Tenney, Facebook.com/John E.L. Tenney. John, are you there?
I'm here.
Man, it's really nice to have you on here. Like I was saying, it's not getting weird on you here, man. But we really got just a snippet of one of your lectures because I would dare say that what you do at like a Scarefest isn't really the full-on lecture, but it made me go out and listen to anything I could find. Like when I got hold of your podcast and everything, and really admire your views on the paranormal.
Thank you so much. I'm terrible at accepting compliments, but I'll take it from you. No, it's just I always fashion myself the weirdo's weirdo. You know what I mean? Like I heard you talking in the opening. Like I feel like because of when I started investigating and when I started researching, and the people that I talked to and the people who kind of mentored me along the way, kind of said like there always needs to be someone who will say what people think and don't want to say for whatever reason. Maybe you get pigeonholed as being crazy or, starting drama or whatever, but like someone needs to be the voice of the weirdos, and I think I've kind of stepped into that position.
Right. I speaking of that, honestly, I wasn't expecting to see you on a on a TV show, and when it was first announced, I was really excited about it, and Stacey and I both. I mean, just from we did a show called Haunted South before this, and so we've always kept up with everything paranormal that we can. And when the show actually came out, we were really blown away because I was trying to figure out how do you fit your views and your style into a television show and still remain John Tenney. So pleasantly surprised with it. How did that all come about?
Yeah, it was really strange. So I had heard through the grapevine that Nick Groff, our executive producer, was looking to put together a show. And as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of really aggressive investigations, and I was never a Ghost Adventures fan. And so I was really kind of taken aback when I heard that he wanted to talk to me about doing this show. And we talked, and we had a lot of good rap sessions. And I think because of Nick's style of investigating, he's grown as an investigator. He's grown as a person who is interested in this stuff beyond, the way that he kind of learned to investigate, which was very aggressive and very almost attack style.
Right.
And so as he asked around, who's someone that, people should see on television, who's someone who can sneak new ideas into the vernacular of the general public, and somehow my name kept coming up. So he contacted me, and he and I had long debates about, what it was going to be, what it wasn't going to be, what I would do, what I wouldn't do. And we went, and I think it was about a year ago, shot the sizzle reel for it to take to the network. And working with him was just so awesome. The fact that he would just let me go and do exactly what I wanted to do. And that I've worked on so many television shows where people will lock you down, or they'll want you to say something, or they'll want you to do something. And he just, for that sizzle reel, I was like, okay, if this is what I can do, if this is what it's going to be. And that was when I met Chad too. And it was so interesting for me. I do, public events and public tours and public investigations and stuff. And so there are people that I deal with who don't do this commonly, and they're not used to it, but I only get to see them for an hour or 2 hours. And then when Chad and I first met, like, to really get involved with a person who had not done very many investigations, was super passionate about investigating, but did not have any kind of protective wall that you kind of learn to put up. You guys know, as investigators and being involved in it, you end up blocking a lot of yourself out. And Chad didn't have any of that. And I thought, well, this could be a really interesting, almost Breaking Bad style show. You've got, me and Walter White, and you've got, this kind of young guy who freaks out at stuff. And maybe, that would be a really good, interesting thing to show people.
Yeah, actually, I mean, the formula is incredible, and it's the chemistry. And it's, not just that we're interviewing you. We'll say the same thing a year from now. When we first were watching it, I was like, holy cow, what he's doing right now is it's the seasoned investigator that's actually with that first night person.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can almost feel for him. And, when he's in there and
yeah, we almost hate laughing at him so much because we remember what it's like to be scared like that, but he's so funny. Oh, wow. I just laughed my butt off.
Well, it's one of those things, too, because if people watch the shows, and this was a part that I talked to Nick about. I said, one of originally, I'll give you guys, I'm not supposed to talk about certain things, but, I don't care. I'll say anything at any time to anybody. But when we were first filming the show, it was going to be almost like a huge, long documentary, and we were only filmed 3 locations, and it was going to be presented as an over-arc and this kind of journey of watching Chad grow as an investigator. Uh-huh. And when the networks saw what we were doing, they were like, "Oh, we want you guys to go to more locations." And so we ended up doing 6, and they ended up getting broken into these kind of component episodes. Mm-hmm. But if people watch the first episode and watch the last episode, they will see that Chad is less screamy, less jumpy. He's learning to deal with his own emotions and his own abilities. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we would have done it the way we originally wanted to, kind of this overarching documentary, I think that would have been more clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, John, the stuff that it shows is some of the emotion, and that's what I've told so many people to watch. You see the growth, yes, but you also see some of the stuff that's normally has the cameras not on, and you can tell that it's not faked. You can tell that it's I hate that word, but anyway, but you can tell that it's not forced, I should say.
Yeah.
And that is the part I love about it, because it has those moments that you really have as an investigator or someone who has ever cared about the paranormal at all, when you have the realizations. And it's some powerful TV.
Well, another thing too is, people talk about how Chad acted and stuff, but you don't find investigators very often that investigate alone, all by themselves,
right,
all night in a building. We don't do that.
Yeah.
That has to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and that was Nick and I went round and round, and then we ended up going round and round with the network too, because my whole thing was no tomfoolery. I don't want anybody on set. If we're going to investigate alone, and we're going to tell people that we're alone, then we're going to be alone. And Nick was fine with that, and Nick thought it was great. The network was afraid that we wouldn't get shots, that we wouldn't have enough camera shots. And so we sat down and we hashed out this plan where, the camera crew can be there during the day and they can interview the clients and they can do all their spooky jump shots for the day stuff. But when Chad and I investigate it at 9 o'clock at night, everyone has to wrap, everyone has to leave. They can put as many cameras in the house as they want to. They can leave us as many cameras as we want. So we had to kind of figure out how to, a lot of times if you see me walking down a hallway while I'm investigating, it's because I picked up a camera, set it down at the end of a hallway, walked past it, turned around, picked it up, moved the camera again, so you can get shots of me walking down hallways. And like you said, it's something that most people don't do, and most people forget, because you're watching it in night vision. Mm-hmm. They forget that your only source of light is you're looking at that little night vision screen on your camera, mm-hmm, trying to orient yourself in total darkness. And people watch it on television, they're like, "Oh, why is he so scared?" He's like, "Well, he's sitting in a room pitch black by himself, and he's been, in this location, or I've been in the location for 6 or 7 hours by the point that you start to see us." Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's just a general reaction to being left alone in the dark.
Oh, yeah. Well, we noticed that the show actually has like the whole theme, it seemed, is you guys looking for the portals or, the vortexes. So was this something that you were interested in or researched before you were on the show?
Yeah, it's funny too, right? Because networks and where you do lose control is when the network gets a hold of the footage and starts editing things together. The good thing is if you watch the investigations were all put together by Nick. He had complete control over that.
Oh,
so
good.
If you watch that is, absolutely genuine, what we wanted and how we wanted it to look. But it was so funny because when the show was first pitched, I mentioned to the network, I said, well, I'm really interested in why locations are haunted, and if consciousness persists, if it goes beyond biological beings, how does that energy interact with this reality? And they were like, we don't understand what that means. And I said, so are there passageways where energy and information can transfer into this reality? And they were like, we don't know what this means. And I said, portals between worlds. And they were like, we love it. And so every single single time Chad and I said portal while we were talking to each other, that's what the network like cut to. So it looks like we're talking about nothing. I mean, it drives me crazy to hear the word over and over and over again. And yeah, but I've always been interested in why a place is haunted. I have the belief or idea. I have the idea that, you know, ghosts or spirits, energies are everywhere. So why is it that only certain locations manifest so intensely over other places?
You know, that's funny because one of the questions that I actually had written down for you was going to be, you know, I know how much depth there is to your years of experience, and honestly just trying to pick your brain on with all the theories out there on what ghosts are. You know, obviously there's some that think they're all demons because of what particular faith they may be, or some thinks, you know, it's the unfinished business, or you know, even elementals or what have you. I mean, the spectrum of what we're dealing with in your experience, what do you think? I won't ask the question of what are ghosts. Obviously, you said that with the energy, but what are we dealing with out there?
Yeah, you know, I think when I do my lectures and when I do interviews, and I always tell people to diversify their weirdness, because I really think the first thing that we lack in the paranormal community is we lack the language to talk about this, because I do think we're dealing with a myriad of different types of entities. And so you do have things that are residual, or things that have unfinished business, or things that seem to be bad in comparison to what we think is good. So I think that when we say ghost, we are really limiting the phenomena to this kind of one-note song. You know, throughout the years that I've done this, when I started working on unsolved mysteries back in the 90s, if you saw a black shadow figure and you know, you heard a buzzing in your ears and you saw glowing balls of light, that was an alien abduction.
Right.
But the narrative changed, and now by, you know, 2014, that's a demonic possession or a demonic entity or a shadow person. And so even though the experiences are the same, we change our language and then we make it fit the current narrative that people are talking about, when I think that it's actually something much, much weirder that we don't even really grasp. Right.
Let's, you know, I'm trying my best to not geek out, you know, and be and bore everybody to tears. But there is one theory that for years personally that I've noticed in places, and you know, whenever we've done anything, and some of the paper boos is what I call them. You know, I've noticed that you either have like well, the activity just keeps getting worse year after year. And it seems like, you know, all the energy from these, like a Waverly Hills, or, you know, it seems like, I said it like, I think 10 years ago when we were going, or 8 years ago, I was like, I'll be interested to see what this place ends up in 8 years with all these 365 days a year, you know, people come in and are putting this energy in. What's your thoughts on these places? Because I know you guys did a lot of places on the show that not really been done.
Right.
And
Yeah, no, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head with some of these locations. I've told people for decades and decades, if the human being, if we die and we can leave energy somewhere, then why can't we leave energy somewhere while we're alive? And when you have people investigating these places every single day, all night long, and they're investing emotional energy, spiritual energy, aggressive energy inside these locations. You know, if a guy goes into a place like Waverly on a Sunday night and kicks the walls and screams at the top of his lungs that he wants something to fight him, the next day on Monday afternoon when someone goes in there and goes in the same room, they're like, why does something in here want to fight me? How do we know it's not that guy who was in there the night before left something behind?
Right.
And I really do feel like you're totally on the right track, or we are, by thinking that. I mean, I really think that human beings leave behind energy, and these locations build up, which is why it was important on Ghoststalkers that we go to places that no one had been before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you, since we're talking about the show, I know that, you know, I read your blog and stuff, and by the way, just on that note, I appreciate all those extra notes. If you haven't read the blogs that he puts out after the episodes are over. Go read them because they're hilarious. Because you get to find out all those little extra tidbits that you don't get to see in the show, and you don't get that for other shows. And I especially cracked up. It made me think of you because he said, I think, John, didn't you say that you usually go on a tirade and talk about stuff forever, and then they edit it down to like one sentence? And I just get so tickled because my husband, John, it's weird you're both named John, he does that. He'll go off on stuff, and then, I don't know, it's just really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lecturer by trade. I love to talk. I love to theorize and create hypotheses about things. And then when I watch, what I've said, and all of a sudden it's one sentence long.
They just didn't get the meaning, did they?
Yeah, I mean, in the first episode at Whispers, I did an enormous, 15-minute speech about elementals and animal spirits and pre-Christian animal spirits and animal totems. And then at the end of that, because I was pretty much doing a lecture about animal spirits, and then at the end, as I'm winding up and I get into Christian era, and I was like, and animal spirits were adopted by, the pagans, and as the Christians moved in, they took goat-headed people and they were represented as demons and devils. And then on the episode, all you hear is, goat-headed people have been seen as demons and devils.
That's it. That's all you get. That's funny. Well, I know that another aspect of the show was that you and Chad both had near-death experiences, and you have written about that in your blog, which was what I was getting to before I got distracted there. But for some of our listeners that may not know or may not have seen your blog, can you kind of tell us about that experience?
Sure. So I was actually starting to get into weird stuff in my early teens. It was when my mentor, who was a conspiracy theorist, actually took me under his wing. And I had been working with him for about a year and a half. And then just due to biological genetics, it's rare, but it happens. But when I was 17, I had a heart attack and flatlined for almost 3 minutes, about 2.5 minutes, a little bit more. And I did not have a traditional near-death experience. I didn't have one that's completely uncommon. It's just not talked about very much. But it's this kind of void experience. It's nightmarish, really. You're pretty much just consciousness floating in infinity without any way to interact, contact, make yourself known, and you're just awareness inside of nothing. And at a certain point, talking about it is always very strange because it's kind of beyond words. It's nothing, so it doesn't have words associated with it, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But at some point, I was aware of the opportunity to either stay inside of nothing or have everything. And when I thought about everything is when I opened my eyes and I was back in this world.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, it does sound like it. So you were actually into the weird stuff before this happened? This isn't what spurred you into it. Is that right?
No, I've always been a weird kid, and, I grew up, I'm not one of those people that had, when I was 4 years old, I saw ghosts and stuff like that, but I was always interested in weird stuff, and I used to watch In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, and, I checked out books on Bigfoot and UFOs from the library like any weird kid would. And then, I had always been interested in science fiction and fantasy, and then I really got interested in history about junior high, and I thought to myself, someday maybe I'll be a historian. So when I was about 15, 16 years old, I met Craig, who ended up becoming my mentor, who was a historian, and because of him, I learned how to file Freedom of Information Acts with the government, which then I started filing Freedom of Information Act requests on UFOs and haunted places and stuff. And then about a year and a half later is when I had my heart attack.
Wow. That's, yeah.
Did it kind of weird you out a little?
Yeah. I mean, that's just, that's a terrible experience, and I can really understand where the fuel would come from on that.
Yeah.
My parents don't watch the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I actually had to sit down about a week before the first episode with my sister because I have a 14-year-old nephew, and he had never heard anything about it. My family does not talk about it at all. It was such a traumatic incident for my mom and dad that they don't discuss it, they don't talk about it, they don't like to think about it, and so they don't even watch the show. My nephew had never heard about it. 14, had never known anything about it. And so it's a really weird thing to have to kind of dig back into it, but it's a growing learning experience, and being able to move past it and help people. Like I said, it's not an uncommon experience. It's just, since it's not a tunnel of white light with balloons and puppies, people don't talk about it. But because, I've talked about it with different doctors throughout the years, and different psychologists, neurobiologists, and neuroscientists, and it does happen to people, my experience. It's usually so traumatic, people don't want to talk about it or discuss it.
Right. Well, the show, I don't think that they've come out and said whether or not it's been renewed for second seasons, but I know that you guys need people to, message the TV network, because we definitely want to see it for another season. So where do we stand on that? Have you heard anything, or do we still need to be sending in our letters?
Yeah, I don't know. We ended at a strange time for networks, because right when we ended is right when all of the networks, including Destination America, start working on their holiday shows. Oh. So that instantly takes priority on everything for all of those networks getting all their specials out. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, the one thing that we don't want to do is we don't want them to forget about us after New Year's Eve is over, mm-hmm. and they're trying to figure out what to put back on the air. So that's the one thing, is to try and keep it in the public mind. I think that actually, like Chad and David and I, are probably the most engaged of any people that have ever been on a show. We mm-hmm. Are nonstop talking to people on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, doing things like our behind the scenes blogs. David does his tech breakdowns on YouTube, and I don't think that people were even really prepared for that. There's a lot of people who email me, and then I email them back, and then they freak out, and they're like, "Holy crap, you run your Facebook page?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do."
That's funny.
So we'll put the information up on how to get it renewed.
Oh, yeah, because there's like a Twitter, there's a Destination America Twitter, there's a Destination America Facebook, and I actually went to the Destination America website, and I actually went through their viewer relations part where you can send in messages. And so I sent a message in a couple of weeks ago, saying how much we liked the show and we thought that it needed another season. And so I got this nice email back. I was so happy, because I actually got this email back saying, we take all this into consideration, and they really got me with that. And so about a week went by, and I thought, well, I'm going to send in another letter just so, it stays fresh, whatever. So I was just being funny, and I sent in another letter saying that I had already sent in a letter, but I hadn't heard the announcement for the second season, and I think I missed it, and could they please announce it again? So it's pretty much what my letter said. I was just being funny. And so I got the same email. It's like a form email. I felt so jilted. I was like, oh, my God. So now I owe them another email, because I'm not just going to keep getting form emails that I'm not confident that they're sharing my information now.
Well, for anyone out there who hasn't seen Ghoststalkers, I will tell you, I personally don't believe in coincidences. And so the very fact that on the third episode, and yes, you'll have to go find it, or DVR, or wait for it.
You can find it, maybe YouTube.
I don't know. You guys captured the holy grail of paranormal evidence, full-bodied apparition. I think that was a sign by itself that you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And because who gets that, especially that quick. So
it's really crazy, right? Because I still have no idea what that thing is. It's so weird. And when I saw it, I saw it live as it happened. Chad was inside, and I was out in the RV, and it's a live feed out into the RV. So it just walks past the camera, and I was like, did I see something? I've been staring at that monitor for hours. Yeah. So I'm like, did I see something? I had to wait until morning to go and retrieve the chip to get the footage and look at it again. And then my mind was like, holy smokes, what is that thing? Because before the crew leave, we, just for our own safety, since we're in the locations by ourselves, we do a sweep of the building. We open up all the doors. We check and make sure nobody's inside. Then we lock down all the windows, all the doors. We put up gates, so that, if there's a part of the building we can't close off, people can't get through those big kind of, if you remember in high school, they have those floor-to-ceiling gates that lock off hallways.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, this is just insane. This is the craziest thing. But, again, there's stuff that people don't ever talk about, which I don't have any problem talking about. But one of the things that when we said that we wanted to do these investigations alone and that we wanted to do them overnight, we do them overnight. We go in at 9 o'clock at night and we stay until 5 or 6 in the morning. And, I don't know how many of your listeners know this, but on a lot of shows, that is not an investigation. That's not how people do investigations. A lot of people have contracts, especially in the larger shows, the more watched shows. A lot of the stars have contracts that they don't work after 1 o'clock. They don't work after midnight. And so what you see as an overnight investigation usually takes place between 9 and midnight. And then it's edited to look like it's all night long. And I think that just the fact that we were in those locations, Chad for his investigation, me for my investigation, with cameras rolling for 16 hours, I think that's, where you start to actually capture really, really good, evidence.
Definitely. I mean, just from being on investigations, and when we've trained other people on investigations, that's the one thing I always harp on, and is the investigation, going back to a place, or the length of the investigation. And I'd say by that time, you guys are definitely getting some, a connection and emotional, you're so drained yourself and just feeling the location. That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. Well, the good stuff doesn't really start happening until.
Yeah. You never know. You never know.
Until in the morning.
It's funny hearing your, what got you into the paranormal, and some people just have seen a TV show or something like that. We got into it from me being a dumbass, and back in 1997, Stacey was doing something for college, and she was studying a few different religion things, and we went into a Wiccan shop, and I got a book on demons. Or how on spirits.
On invoking spirits.
Yeah, on invoking spirits. So I go to the back page that night, about half drunk, and completely just do it with all the, pomp and circumstance that you could possibly.
He's very dramatic.
You could possibly do. And
I told him not to. Just.
And I was trying to show her what caca it was.
Right.
So it was the next day, or in my memory it was the next day. It could have been 2 days. Middle of the afternoon, we see a full body, and we were in separate rooms. It ran through our house, but a black shadow figure, and it was it was a full-grown, male, female, whatever it was. It was 6 foot tall. But yeah, that was so. Ever since then, and I just think it's funny to hear people's original, because I'll never be able to do that. I'll never have that. It'll always be like, well, I was a dumbass. So, but that happens, I guess. John, is there anything you'd like to touch on before we close this up?
Not really. I think it's funny too. You say that's your experience. Mine was kind of my first real ghost experience. Was my friends knew I had been filing Freedom of Information Acts with UFOs and haunted houses and stuff like that. And this was about 16 at the time. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, I think my house is haunted. You should come check it out." And I said, "Well, I will. I don't want anybody in the house with me." Even at 16, I was like, "I don't want anybody screwing around with me. I'll go in there by myself." And I went in this house, and I was like, "Okay, so ghosts are probably not real." I was 16. I'm kind of a punk rock kid, and I was like, "Ghosts probably aren't real, whatever." And I was sitting on a bed, and I heard someone walking up some steps, and I was like, "Who's in here with me?" And I go and I look, there's no one there. So I ran downstairs, and I was starting to get freaked out. And I was like, "You're just freaking yourself out. You're just freaking yourself out." And then I said really loudly, I was very kind of passionately too, I was like, "I know there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no ghosts in this house." And a full-bodied apparition stepped down out of this stairwell and kind of looked at me, and I screamed and ran out the door. And that was like, so I think everybody's kind of got a dumbass moment.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that is classic.
Yeah.
That one definitely needs to be somewhere in the show.
That's funny.
That's amazing. Well, John, we really greatly appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be able to actually get to interview you like this. I know you don't take compliments well, but I love what you're doing, and please don't ever change it, because us weird people need somebody to follow. I really appreciate you coming on, man, and taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate talking to you, and I love talking to people who have open minds like you two, and just want people to be smarter. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, Ghoststalkers is the show. We'll have all kinds of stuff on the TV screen here for you to get a hold of Destination America. And we'll also, on iTunes, if you're listening, we'll talk about it at the end of the show today. John Tenney, thank you so much. WeirdLectures.com. Go check it out for yourself. All right, that was John E.L. Tenney, and I was really excited, and I contained my excitement.
I think you did good.
I think I did good. I did wear the shirt and tie today. It's like meeting Matt Smith if you're a Doctor Who fan.
You have to wear the bow tie?
I'm an intelligent paranormal investigator who likes to meet other clever people.
Right.
And so when clever person gets TV show, I'm like, yay, it's a win for us.
It is.
You know, people who actually want to go into an investigation and sit there.
Like you're supposed to?
Listening, you know, it was wonderful. Facebook.com/John E.L. Tenney, at John E.L. Tenney on Twitter, WeirdLectures.com. And if you can't spell that out, he probably doesn't want you on the website.
Let's mention, because we did tell them for the people that are listening on iTunes,
right,
where you can go to tell them that you want to see a second season. So on Facebook, it's just Facebook.com/Destination America, and just post on there as much as you can. On Twitter, it's at DEST America.
Right.
So definitely go on the Twitter. You can do like I did and actually go to destinationamerica.com. At the very bottom of the page, there's that little menu, you know, where they don't really want you to see it because it's really small at the bottom. But there is a link that says Viewer Relations, and you can send them a message,
right, and
like
do that.
I did, and they'll send you their little form email back saying that they got your message.
Absolutely, do that. And for those of you who haven't seen the show, I mean, go see it, go watch it, go find a way, go out of your way to see this show, because it is a little bit of everything for the paranormal fan. I mean, you've got the new element with Chad, you've got the, you know, I've done this since Unsolved Mysteries days with,
definitely have the creepiness factor
with John Tenney. It's got everything you could want, including great evidence. So let them know, let your voice be heard, because we know we need quality paranormal programming on there. We don't need you know, this flavor of the week stuff that is so forced.
They even have the techie stuff for people that like the techie stuff. We didn't even mention David Roundtree.
He
comes in and does all the techie stuff with stuff you've never seen before.
Right.
So I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool formula. Ghoststalkers, you know, it's a really good show, and we hope to see it around for a while. John Tenney, we really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your time, sharing some of your stories with us, giving us a few laughs. You know, go find his blog. It's well worth it. But for us, Facebook.com/ThirdSide.
Yes.
ThirdSideParanormal.com. And on Twitter, it's at 3SidePara. That's the number 3. Yeah, that's the number 3. Until the next time, for my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John Edwards. So long from the Third Side.
Good night.